Hey, what's up, universe? It's 9:48 p.m. on Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. So some interesting things, obviously. August is an interesting month. I was just kind of researching some stuff, watching some more, rewatching Mike Maloney's series on money, and the second episode. Like, if you're going to watch an episode, if you want to see the history of stuff, the second episode is definitely a good watch. Let me see if I can just pull up the name of it here so you can check it out yourself. Okay, yeah, and it's funny too because of the name. So the second episode is called The USA's 7 Stages of Empire. There's the number 7, right? And it's not just the USA, this is just the 7 stages of empire. Because if we go back and we look at history, like, back even in ancient Greece, so the debasement of currency, I've been talking about Rome and Emperor Nero. Now, you can go back to the ancient Greeks and see how gold was used to fund things, and then it was debased, and it's the same recipe over and over and over and over again. So the 7 stages of empire. But the title is called USA's 7 Stages of Empire, and the series is called The Hidden Secrets of Money, and it's episode 2. Within that particular episode, it shows how Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, and that was on August 15th, 1971. And so I was like, okay, so there's August, right? And then I was, I gave a book to Odin when I think he was in the 7th or 8th grade, right? Odin loves to read. And I was like, here's a book. I gave him a book for his birthday, and I haven't even read the book. I just learned about it, and I knew, because I've done enough research and exposed myself to such a wide and varied amount of information that whatever was in the book, I'd probably ran across in other areas. Now, that's not to say that the book wouldn't be good for me to read. I'm sure that it would be. The name of the book is Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. And you can go get that on Amazon. Make sure you get the first edition, this kind of a thing. And so I was doing I just happened to be flipping through TikTok, which I just recently started doing. Like, that's not the platform that I actually find myself being on. Although I very well may start to post some things on TikTok, because that's, I feel like, actually where a wider audience would be. So I may migrate there. So I ran across a video about, the whole, hey, aliens are real kind of a thing. And this TikTok was about, it looked like government officials, and one government official was like, let me read you a transcript between a discussion between the aliens and some world leaders, right? Which is already a little suspect to me in a way, but the language, what was really more suspect to me was the language that was used. I'm like, this sounds like there's definitely an agenda, like a man-made agenda, right? So it just didn't feel authentic to me that this was actually a transcript between another species and our species. It sounded like something that our species would create, like it didn't sound authentic to me. What triggered me about it, and what triggered my kind of, I don't know about this, was amnesty for world leaders about past wrongdoing, and how that could be the only way that the leaders talk about keeping this hidden for so long. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. And then about how the aliens said that there's too many people in the world. Now, I don't believe that another species is going to say that the world is overpopulated. Now, you can certainly find other human beings with a very specific agenda that have been promoting that idea for a long time, that the world is overpopulated. You can look at things like the Georgia Guidestones, the Protocols of Zion, just other, I think New American Century. I think there's a group of individuals on the planet that would like us to believe that the world is overpopulated. I do not share that belief. And so it just made me go to think, I asked Odin, I was like, hey, do you remember, does Behold the Pale Horse talk about population control or population reduction? And he couldn't remember specifically, but he thinks that it may have been mentioned. And then I ran across another TikTok, and I forget the woman's name, but it's from like 1992, and she was talking about Project Bluebeam. Now, Project Bluebeam is, if you go research it, is supposedly a conspiracy theory. I think there's a Canadian investigative journalist that I believe started talking about it. I can't remember the time frame. And the idea behind Project Bluebeam, if I understand it properly, is to create a false second coming, right? And that's what this TikTok was about. This is what this lady was talking about. She's like, she was like, I witnessed technology that was so advanced to what we understand and have now that it felt and appeared alien to me. She's like, but it was men who had created this technology, or it was men that were employing this technology. It was the human species that was employing this technology. And it just kind of led me to think, like, again, this is all very, I understand it can be pretty out there, yet, truth is stranger than fiction, right? So these are the types of things where I'm like, this is an interesting thing. Why are these things out here? Other than just for entertainment purposes, or just to like make things up. Usually with wives' tales and things like this, or any type of superstition, it began somewhere. There's a truth somewhere, right? You know what I mean? This stuff just isn't like pure fantasy. There's some foundation of truth. So what I'm getting at is, like, I had forgotten, because again, I didn't focus on this. I stopped focusing on this for a long time, and for some reason it's coming back across my desk again. I had forgotten about, if I recall properly, there is this idea or potential, or perhaps even an agenda, that the appearance of aliens could be used as a form of imposing the one world government, that people have been talking about, the new world order, so to speak, the global type of, hey, this is everybody, And the reason this kind of comes up is that the money crisis that I was talking about, this financial crisis, just isn't around US dollars. This isn't just a United States issue. This is a global currency issue. Every country, every central bank, everybody is debasing their currency. It's not just the United States. The collapse of the global, financial system, having it happen to a single country, that's happened before. Having it happen to every country across the globe around the same time has never happened. So it's an interesting idea that some type of major existential threat, potentially, which would be, aliens, right? Kind of unites us, or gives the political cover to execute a certain agenda on a global scale. And I just find that kind of interesting. Like, how could that be done? Like, whatever. I don't ask these types of questions about the how, because that gets into way more speculation. Yet I definitely believe that there is technology and things like this that we simply have no idea about. Easily. And then what came to my mind with that is that, there was another video that brought the whole population control back into my mind. And you can research this, like the Georgia Guidestones, I believe the Protocols of Zion, like I had mentioned. 500 million people globally is like the number, is a target number. Now that's a massive reduction in human beings from around 7.8 to 7.9 billion. That's huge. And then just with the, I had asked ChatGPT, I was like, hey, I'd asked about the drachma, right? Which is the currency or the money that was used by the ancient Greeks. And I don't know, maybe that's what it's still called. See, I don't pay attention to the names of the currencies so much anymore. And I asked about, the debasement and what did the average Athenian or a Greek person experience during this time. And I didn't really get a satisfactory answer. It was like the normal stuff where it's just kind of like, well, the cost of goods went up, causing stress, and it didn't give me like concrete examples of like, well, in Athens there were riots, there was social unrest, there was like an increase in crime. Like, it didn't give me like concrete. It just gave me like what felt like speculative things, which were kind of like, all right, I wanted like, is there a documented account of like a day in the life of, what was it really like while this was occurring? And so, one way to definitely reduce a population without having a war, at least in the traditional sense that one may think, is to just inflate things so much that food and other resources, things that are necessary to live, become rather inaccessible. And civilization as we know it, society as we know it, is a very frail system. Like, we're human beings and we're mammals, we're animals, right? We're animals. Like, so the balance between keeping things in order and chaos is a pretty fine line. And I've always found myself drawn to like TV shows or movies that kind of point that out, right? So there's movies like The Road, there's shows like Jericho or Revolution, or I'm trying to think, I know there's others like The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, showing the state of humanity in basically kind of a dystopian setting, like where society has more or less kind of broken down. And how do we as a species respond to that? Now, most of those paint a pretty bleak future and a pretty bleak existence. That's definitely, like I was saying before, is a potential, right? Now, I, for one, while I used to entertain those kinds of thoughts, would rather not entertain those kinds of thoughts, because I also believe that there is the potential for us to go the other way, where we can create something beautiful. Now we have to choose that, we have to work towards that. So it's just kind of curious. I used to be very cynical towards, and there's even a little bit of cynicism in some of my previous videos, but that's more about like the question of, there's always seems to be a group that wants to dominate the rest of us. And will we ever move beyond that? But I think generally speaking, as a whole, our species is, we all really want the same thing, really. We all care for the people that we love, and we all pretty much have the same desires. We just want to live and we want to enjoy things. We all enjoy peace. We all know what love is. So the better angels of our nature, so to speak, I would like to believe could be also a potential, right? So I'm putting this out there because I just find it interesting, giving the timing of everything, and I just kind of sit back and just kind of wait, and I'm seeing what may play out. I'm not promoting any one thing. I'm not speculating on any one thing. It just has me, it's piqued my curiosity, and again, for some reason, it's coming across my table again. So I'm just putting out some of the things I've ran across, giving you guys some more resources to go ahead and check out. Before I wrap this up, it's really interesting too, around, as I was looking up Behold a Pale Horse, there is an article online on vulture.com, and it's called the how do I say this word? As I get fumbled on words often. The Conspiracist Manual That Influenced a Generation of Rappers, published August 22nd, 2018. So that was part of the reason that I was like, this is kind of funny about August, right? And that is a very informative article about, there's other good resources listed in that as well, like other books and authors, but how, African culture and just the whole set of rappers and how that influenced them. And there's just other things, other great resources in that article as well. And in my mind, this came up back in 2006, 2007, when I was starting to get into some of these things as well, when I was starting to like really come into awareness around a whole different thing, a whole different set of information around, the history of power, the type, bloodlines and family control, and like, things like the elites and, things like the Illuminati and stuff like that. There was information that I came across during that time around, Africa in general. And Africa is rich in a lot of history, and it's rich in a lot of resources, and one has to wonder how and why an entire continent is in the state that it is in, and how the rest of the world, basically trying to not be so vulgar or maybe crass, but rape is probably a great word, rapes that continent, and what secrets does it hold? What is there that we don't know about? What history lies there? And I believe there would be a lot of interesting truths that could come from there. And so I'm just putting that out there too. There was something that came into my mind that, as I was kind of going with that there was something else. I don't want to sit here and fumble with it. Yeah. Well, if it comes back into my awareness, I'll just do another video. I know there was something else. Anyway, interesting things. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up because I'm just kind of grappling, trying to recollect what I was on about. It was about how the BRICS summit is in South Africa. I don't know if that's coincidence or what, but there's a lot of things that are happening, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like that meme with Michael Jackson eating the popcorn, right? Where it's just kind of like, okay, what's going on? So that's what I got. I just want to put that out there. Thank you for watching. Thanks for entertaining me here, giving me some time and some space, and I appreciate it. All right, I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.